First, keyboard combos. These are just some fun things to navigate around and make your life real easy. And you get to them by using, if you're on a Mac, use the command slash keys. So the slash key is the question mark key on my keyboard. Command slash, or on Windows, it's control and slash. If you're watching this on a mobile phone, I'm sorry. I'll get to you in a sec. I got other special things for you. This one's desktop only, okay. But on desktop, keyboard combos, you get some cool stuff. I know this looks like a whole bunch of gibberish right now, but we'll highlight some cool ones, and I also have a thread to make it easier later. Shift escape. Shift escape here it just marks the entire server as red. So you can see I have no unread channels anywhere, but we can go to a server and we'll find a channel. Oh, I already did that. Okay, so I can hit Shift Escape on this, doing it now, and it'll just clear all the channels. It's not a great example, but yeah. So this is a way to clear all your notifications in a server at once if it's just a bunch of highlighted channels that you don't want to be highlighted. I use it all the time. That's one of my personal favorites. Another one that's really nice is the navigation board. So I'll just actually maybe we'll come back to the keyboard stuff because I'll just use them and then I'll explain as I use them. So Command K, this thing's great. It's just a search window. So let's jump to Discord wizardry. Or I can search whatever I want. So I could put in the tavern and it'll come up, or previous conversations, etc. So let's go to Discord wizardry here. And this is essentially a forum that I have set up to just help people do stuff. Guides to bots, tips and tricks, Easter eggs, etc. So this is the keyboard one we're talking about right now. You can see a full image of that here. And yeah, this is some highlights. So this one's like this is the Command K. This is the search one we just used. The navigation through mentions is really nice. So I think it's like Shift and Option keys or something. Yeah, maybe that'll bring me up to this shitposts form here. Yes, it did. So Shift, Option, and the arrow keys will bring you up to whatever channel has the most recent unread message. You can do Shift, Command, Option, and the arrow keys to bring you to whatever your most recent mention is. So if someone wants to try tagging me in the chat, I can use that keyboard command to jump back to it. Right now, I'm just in a channel. Oh, that's another one that I forgot that I use all the time. Okay, Command and the square brackets. So first, we will jump to the recent mentions. I will use the Shift, Command, Option, arrow keys. Bang, that'll jump me there. Cool, thank you. And now I can just use Command and the square brackets to jump back. So these square brackets act as back and forward keys between channels, and you can actually use them multiple times as well. So I can jump like a whole bunch of times, just back and forward. If you're the kind of person who's constantly dumping like content over from one place to another, that becomes really super useful. Or if you're like me and you just lose things in folders and channels and stuff, then that's also another way to get around quickly. Between Command K, the back and forward, and the navigating to recent mentions things, like I can get around all over the place basically without having to click anything. Yeah, I can just click buttons and not have to actually navigate the server. And so let's go back to brown bag here. Oh, maybe that's not going to work. Oh, there it is. Okay. So some other ones are okay. Well, Command Option arrows. We'll put that there just to log it a little bit. Okay. That's all those. We talked about Shift Escape. That marks all your notifications. Now let's talk about the inbox because the inbox is real nice. That's this thing up in the top right corner. You can use the Command I to bring it up. And then you get all these different things. So this is different events and stuff. I can see that the thing is there. I can mark it as red. I can delete it because we can acknowledge that it's happening, but I'll leave it for now. This is a recent mention. Oh, that's just an unread message. That's not a mention. That's just an unread message. I can mark it as read from here. I don't actually have to go to the server. If I had mentions, they'd be here. We can see them. I can like close them all out quick and just get a clean inbox since I've already read all of them. These are mentions that are already read. So I've already removed like the red ping, but they still show up in this inbox until I remove them. I can filter them based on things like roles at everyone's stuff if I want to get more specific, but I'm really on top of my stuff. I did mention I respond to everything. So like I see every mention, every unread message. I've got my channels organized to the point where like when there's a new unread message that's not even mentioning me, I typically care about it and can read it. And I do that by staying on top with the inbox. If I had unreads, there would also be this little checkbox over here. And if you click it, it's like the shift escape thing, but it's for all your servers. It's super dangerous. But if I click it, it will mark all the channels and all the servers I'm in as read at once. So if you have like 100 servers and you're just completely overwhelmed, I would recommend just marking that, nuking all of them, and then just going through and right click, mark as read, right click, mark as read to get rid of all the red mentions, and then just set it to be clean again and start from scratch. Try to stay on top of it. It is worth it. If you're ever getting overwhelmed with servers tagging like at everyone's and stuff all the time, then what you would do is you would right click, go into the notification settings, and then just play with these things. So you suppress at everyone in here. I wish we didn't have to do this. So this is kind of like a little side rant, but like I have moved to a system that I prefer that I call notification roles using Discord's onboard settings. So up in this channels and roles section, you can use it to give people roles and stuff. We'll go here, channels and roles. So what types of announcements would you like to receive? Project or event related announcements. And by clicking on these, I get these roles. You can see it in the bottom or in the right-hand side here. So when I click on these, I get these roles. And I can use this as like a toggleable notification system. So my community understands that I use these roles to let them know about things. And so they can opt into what types of notifications they would like to receive. And they can opt out at any time using this menu. And that way, they do not mute the at everyone thing because I need at least one point of contact with them. Like, what if there's an emergency? And then they've muted every possible way for me to reach them. Like, that sucks. So I prefer if people don't mute everyone, and I try to come up with a system like this to get around it. That's like my little side rant on notification stuff. Cool. Okay, well, that's keyboard combos. You can get to it with control slash or command slash. I recommend you playing with it. Learn at least a few that are your favorites. Like some that I didn't take seriously initially, but I'm starting to use a lot are like Command E, like toggling on the emoji picker. Like it's just really fast. It's sufficient. Let's go. The emoji picker one I actually use decent amount. The back and forward keys I use quite a bit. Um, Command Shift M to mute yourself or unmute yourself, kind of useful if you're kind of flying around. So, yeah, there you go. Okay. Next one's for anyone who's on their phone or if you have a phone next to you. So give this a try. This will be something else for you. So this is special. This is an Easter egg. So Discord actually has an entirely new mobile layout. I will take a picture from my phone and send it in the chat. And you get to it by, let's see, this box. And when I click on this, it's only for mobile, by the way, but when you on your phone, you tap on this sparkle emoji, and then you tap and hold on this bigger one that shows up in the box, and it will toggle on an entirely different view for your Discord. It will look like what I'm posting in the chat. So there's automatically assigned emojis next to the channels. You can actually change them if you're a server booster. So I'll show another example of that because I'll show a better example of like the new layout being used properly. So this is a server I've set up acknowledging the new layout, like and setting up like in an attempt to match it. Let's go back to the screen share so I can show you here. So the banner image takes up the entire top of the app. It highlights certain things like the channels that are most recently active, the events and stuff, instead of being like channel tabs or little buttons up in the top right. Um, the channels are well, same as always, except there's these emoji icon spaces, and you can choose what they are. I think you have to have a level 1 server boost. But that's cool. So I made these icons and put them there. You can also assign emojis yourself, or it's using like some kind of AI to figure it out, I think, because some of it's pretty accurate and it's cool. Some of it's off, but most of it's pretty accurate and pretty cool. And yeah, you have this like, instead of swiping to the left and getting this side tab, you have the servers, you have this message tab. Um, Discord seems to have hidden it again. Maybe I'm wrong, but there was a point where you could add channels to the messages tab, and it was amazing. It was like the most useful feature from this thing ever. Um, and then, yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. But it's new, it's shiny. There's a bunch of other things too. Um, and there's a thread about that that will kind of explain like the random things, like, adding to messages, which seems this option seems to be gone, but so be it. But because of that, I was able to have like chats and DMs in the same window. It was awesome. So I had added like team chats and less active channels to my DMs so that I didn't lose them. And there were some servers where I was like only in one channel really, or only really participating in one channel. And so I could just add it to my DM, and then I never really had to go into that server ever. But I was still really actively participating in the server. And so here's another thing. You may have noticed I have this fancy favorites thing up in the top left. So let's close this and let's talk about favorites because that goes along with the new layout. But it's like, I don't even think you guys can access this. I'm just going to show you it because it's super cool. I think I'm grandfathered in because I abused it too early. So when you were using the new mobile layout, you could add things to your messages. And when you added things to your messages, they popped up in this weird favorites thing if you're back on the normal layout. And so I have this favorites thing, and it says super duper alpha. This is going to break, change, be removed at any time. So it already has. It's been removed. I still get to play with it apparently, but I don't think you can access it. But it's coming down the pipeline for you, so you get to see like an early feature. One day you'll get to use it. So when it first started, it was just channels. It didn't show you anything, but now I actually get to make these categories myself, and I can add nicknames to the channels. So this is like none of these channels are actually named these things. I've renamed them, and if I click on say like let's do Collabland CM. So it's going to jump me to whatever their community admins channel is in their Discord. But it doesn't actually take me down to their Discord, which is over here. And I'm still up in favorites. And then I can, jump to the exploration station in my personal server from here, or to the WGMI general chat, or to, yeah, you get the idea. So favorites are super sweet. It's basically like a personal server, but instead of it being a personal server of channels, it's a personal server of aggregated content of all your servers, and I love it. So I can't wait for this to become a thing. This is the exploration station. It's adorable. It's just a cool thing on Discord. If you aren't using forums, forums are awesome. I really enjoy them. And this is just a beautiful way of displaying that. So these basically act as posts and a way of sharing cool information, whatever it may be. So, I mean, of course, we've heard talk about these recent SEC suits. So all of the content that I come across or anyone else come across can be dumped in here and archived. And it becomes really useful as a way of like breaking down your bubble and getting a more holistic view on a topic. That's really nice about it. It helps kind of like combat the algorithm and also acts as a really, really good archive. Plus, a note is that some of the things that get posted in here, like some of these tweets end up getting deleted, but then they still exist here. So I end up having a bank of like things that some of which doesn't exist anymore, and I like that. Helps me stay informed on things, especially when I find there's some Twitter accounts, for example, that like to delete all their tweets every like 2 weeks or something. So I still end up having them in here. Um, so yeah, and I can see there's pictures of new stuff. Oh goodness. Okay, I don't know what that's going to be, but we're not going to play that right now. All right. So now that's the new layout. You may have also noticed if I go back here that it's black. Um, so that's actually another Easter egg feature that you have on your phones. There's also profile themes now, so like not really as exciting. But if you want to get access to this one, you basically go and mash tap on the dark mode option like 10 times, and then a new third fancy option will appear. So that I've got a little thing here for that too that explains. But yeah, you can see that like this is what it would look like. I've mash tapped on the dark mode option in my phone like 10 times, and then this experimental AMOLED mode thing comes on and I toggle it on. Everything goes to full black instead of being like the standard gray that we're used to seeing. Now there's fancy appearances like the one I have set on mine. So I know that's not the same now. So not as exciting, but still cool. It looks really clean on this Oh Baby server, that's for sure. Um, all right, back to Discord wizardry. A big one is bots. I think that was kind of supposed to be the topic of this conversation. I've got a whole list of them here. It's inefficient for me to explain to you like how to use bots because I could do a whole 30-minute workshop on each one of these. But I've got guides here. I'll tell you briefly what they do and why, which ones are my favorites. Um, we'll talk about text markdowns a little bit because they come along with using bots. And yeah, so you're probably already aware of some of the basic stuff. YAG is my favorite. YAG is just does everything. You can write custom commands. I use it for everything. It's fantastic. Sesh is like a calendar powerhouse that we use for events. It's doesn't like perfectly work along with Discord's event system, so I tend to have to use both, but I still like it. It's just something I've grown to use a lot in all the servers I'm in, and it's one of the only ways that I'm able to keep track of what happens in all these different places because I can just subscribe to the calendar. When somebody creates an event on Discord, it automatically goes to a calendar that I can subscribe to in like my Google Calendar or iCal or whatever, and then I just see the Discord stuff in my calendar, and it makes it really easy. Craig is used to record audio, which is used in these voice channels and stuff. You might be using some other system to record this, but Craig's great for that too, or at least to have a backup audio recording because it takes the audio per individual user. So if you have a call where lots of people are contributing, or if it's in a voice channel like this where some people might jump in and accidentally hot mic, you'll have the audio as an individual person and you can just strip it out. Got to shout out TweetShift. They're just good people building a good thing. TweetShift's very useful. This personal server of mine has like 180 different hooks through TweetShift running that do random accounts, and we'll just use like as an example. Yeah, sure, we'll use Argent. So I can like, retweet, or leave a comment on a tweet using these buttons. I've linked my Discord and my Twitter accounts to the bot, so the bot can tweet on my behalf through Twitter using a slash command. So I could either use like this tweet or I can leave a comment. And when I do, this button and I can just type it in here. Now, it's not great, right? I can't like attach media. I can't like accurately tag someone like by selecting them and that kind of stuff. But for super basic stuff, it works. Or for super quick responses, it's great. It's nice for boosting engagement. I really like TweetShip for that. YAG, I could do a 2-hour workshop on just using YAG, I bet. Well, yeah, definitely could. Um, Alternative music bots, Uzox is cool. I found it in the Pizza DAO server. Shout out Snacks. um, Chip works well too. Um, Tip from, I mean, you guys might be familiar with using like, I noticed that you guys use Collabland for tipping. That's cool. Sometimes I integrate like tipsy as well because it supports things like XDI, and I like that. Um, but also, I think there's some big updates happening to the Cloudland tipping system, so stay tuned for that. That's exciting. What else? Poke 2 is fun. This is just a game. That's random. We're not going to dive into it, but it's nice. Another one that's not mentioned here, but oh, that's because it's up here because it's created by us. Let's go, Vinci. Nchart. Nchart's like a charting bot like people have seen for checking prices and stuff, but it works for NFTs. So that's nice. And I don't think a lot of people have had the chance to play with too many of those, but I can just pick one like, Azuki's and hit chart. It'll give me the chart for the collection. And, um, it takes a second to get the data, but it does a good job. And I like the data. So that's worth shouting out. Good job, to Vinci and gang for that. Okay. Um, I think text markdowns and I'm done because I'm trying to speed run this. So Command K, Discord wizardry, bring me back to that, close that up, and text markdowns. So there's big text headers and fancy stuff now, so that's what we're highlighting. So to do a big text header, you do a hashtag and then a space, and then whatever you write on that line will be huge. And then if you do 2 hashtags, it gets a little smaller. And then if you do 3 hashtags, it becomes essentially the same size as when you bold something, but it just has a nicer dividing line system. Like it kind of just acknowledges it's a title more. Cool. You know the basic stuff, italics and bolds and underlines, and toggle all those on. Spoiler, and that's what I'm clicking right here. So you do 2 of these bar lines to get a spoiler. Indented is one of the arrows. The bullet points are new, so those are shiny. It's basically just like one space to get a sub bullet, and I think it's 3 spaces to get a sub bullet. And then these have already existed for a long time, so we're going to jump those. If you aren't familiar with user IDs, you should definitely learn them. To get to see user IDs, you can either go into your advanced settings and toggle on developer mode, which you should do. I don't know why it's called developer mode. All it seems to do is give you this fancy copy ID button on everything, which is super useful, and everyone should just have that by default. You want IDs, everyone wants IDs. They're great. They make the user experience so much better. I have no idea why it's not just default to show them and why it's hidden under this thing called developer mode, but it is what it is. If you're on your phone, I think it's under the appearance settings instead of under the advanced settings. But yeah, you toggle that on, and then everything, every channel, every category, every server, person, emoji, etc., will have a unique ID to it. And then you can tag them. And that's how Discord identifies things. That's why people were able to have like whatever display name and username they wanted. And why you can name your channel whatever you want. Or why you can have 2 channels with the same name and still be able to identify which one's which is because they actually are different IDs under the hood and just reading in a clean way. And then another one that I don't think anyone really acknowledges is the fact that you can tag slash commands now. So I can take a command like, say, cat fact. Come on, Yag. Give me what I want. Okay, so I can take this. Now that I see this little box up here, I can right click on that. Copy command ID. Cool. And now if we follow the guide here, arrow sign slash command colon ID arrow sign thing. Okay, so cat back colon ID arrow sign. And then if I hit enter, that's going to become a slash command and it's clickable. And then if I click it, it autofills for me. Super useful if you're trying to direct someone to use like a help command or a POAP claim command. That's another right word. How do I claim the POAP? Well, you go here and you type this. Here's how you claim the POAP. There. And then people can click this and then they could click that and type it in. assuming they're not a farmer, right? So that's something that people don't really talk about a lot, but that's really useful. And if you're building a bot, try to encourage people to, or like other things that you can do include like in putting these in your description. Or I've noticed that some bots also have, yeah, have it in. Yeah, it does. You can recommend commands that they try, and if they can click it from here, and it'll autofill in the chat, which is super useful for like again help commands, onboarding commands. If you have a specific, if your bot runs on like one or two commands, like something like Collabland or Guild, then you can just keep them up in there, like the join command, and that works really well. Um, yeah. Other things, you can tag a person and get their ID, or you can tag anything and get their ID by putting a different, is it a backslash? I don't know what kind of slash. The slash that is not on your question mark, the one that's like above your enter key. If you put that in front and then post, you'll notice that it tags me all funny and gives me my ID. I can do the same thing with a channel. So I could do like, you have to tag it first though. I can't put this and then tag. It won't, because it won't recommend the channel. But if I get the channel first and then put the slash thing in front of it, you see it cancels it out, but it will still post it. And that's the ID. And I can double check it by posting this exact same thing again. So I'll do arrow sign, hashtag, paste, arrow sign thing, bang, and it auto converts to it. It's clickable and all that stuff. That's text markdowns. There's these two docs explaining IDs from Discord and stuff like that. Um, and then these onboarding features, which I don't think a lot of people know how to tag either. But yeah, it's not this ID isn't even a changeable ID. You can just in any server ever. So we'll just go to Raid Guild. I can just type server guide. You don't even have it set up, but I can still click it. It's going to bring me to nowhere. But oh, I've borked it completely because it's trying to bring me there. You can see it. It's like it wants to. Oh, I made it mad. Okay, but you do have the browse channels thing set up, so I can highlight that. And now in browse channels, if you haven't seen this before, browse channels lets you pick and choose all the channels that you want to see, and it's real nice. So I can like remove certain things that I'm not too interested in. Like maybe I don't need product support, so I'll just turn that off. Um, yeah. Okay, there. Now you've seen that happen. Now product support's not in here for me. And I can see it at any time by just coming up in here and toggling on show all channels. But I don't want that. I can also add certain channels to my favorites. So I could, for example, favorite the tavern and then favorite this. And then it's up here now at the top. Easy to find for me. And it will just live there. Okay, that's text markdowns. Let's go back. I got one final thing and then I'm done because I'm already over time. Good for you for all listening to this. I have a server creation template that anyone can run through if they'd like. It's not perfect. I got to do a couple of touch ups. Discord comes out with features so fast that like it becomes outdated like every couple weeks and it's like impossible to keep up. But I've got this like workshop server and it's basically a template that if you copy and it'll let you copy and paste this exact server with guides on how to set it up and all the bots and all that. And all the channels and all the roles and all the configurations are already ready to go. All you have to do is invite the bots and set up a couple of mini things, and then you're done. And all of those things are hopefully step for step, 1, 2, 3, going through this forum post in here. So theoretically, anyone should be able to set up a server that's ready to go for a community at a reasonable scale in 10 steps. Yeah, 10 steps. And so that's that. For the recording, I guess, here. Done. So I think that is a summary of a short Discord wizardry rant. I hope it was helpful.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and like put timestamps in this one because this is cool.
How do you deal with bots when you give
Um,
out POAPs? So there's kind of some issues with that right now. And that's just that like there's no really good distribution tools for preventing it. Like really just no one's made something that genuinely works. Like um lately I've just been using secret phrases with Collabland or with because there's if you're not familiar with Collabland's mini apps yet, which I think you are, um, then there's the is that already in the server? No, it's not, but you can add it. I'm still screen sharing. I'll show you. Do, 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 do. So I think that I mean, they've got this whole mini app marketplace. If you guys haven't played with that, here's a little Discord wizardry tip for you. Collabland's becoming like much more than just like a token gating service and a tipping service. Look, I got the marketplace, and there's all these mini apps, and anyone can create a marketplace mini app. Like Raid Guild could have their own marketplace mini app if they wanted, and they could have it in here. And then instead of having to figure out how to get their bot and all this, instead of Raid Guild having to figure out how to get its bot in all these servers, well, Collabland's already in like 50,000 servers or 40,000 or something like that. And any of those admins can just come in here and install it. And so that's what I did with the POAP app. So I've installed the POAP app into my Collabland. And so what that means is that in your server, I don't see it because, you know, you don't have it. But if I go to my server, let's go to Pull Together because that's where I use it. If I go here, you can see I've got a whole bunch of other commands that you guys don't have. So I can import POAPs and I can have people claim through there. So Collabland's POAP claiming process is not bot proof by any means, but it's basically just a secret phrase that people input to claim, and it works. Um, I've made it very clear there's no rewards for having my POAPs. Like they're for collecting for the fun of collecting, for participating in history, for having the memory. You're not going to get some follow-up airdrop reward, etc. That's not the plan. So there's no real incentive to farm them aside from like under the assumption that someone might want to buy them from you for the sentimental reasons. And we just kind of hope to discourage that behavior. It'll still happen. But yeah, there's no systems really yet to do it. Guild's pretty good too. Like it'll track attendance. You can paywall stuff. So Guild's a great solution for most people. I personally don't want to charge for my POAPs, so I choose to not paywall things. And when I've attempted to do the attendance tracking, I've just been unlucky, but it works great for other people. Rev is another really cool option. I think it's rev.gg. Um, I've been talking to them about like, yeah, they're doing great stuff with like making the issuer's life easier. And you can kind of prevent bots by having like a human verification Discord role, and then using Rev, you can have the claiming process happen in a channel that's token gated to people with that role. So you'd be able to stop bots from participating unless they own your asset or something like that, or unless they've been verified by your mods or however you want to do this verification role. So Rev's another good option. They're also doing their own badging stuff. And then there's other kinds of badging too that I'm playing with. That's more than just POAPs. I'm interested in soulbound things as well. To a degree, I'm still kind of skeptical, but I mean, there's not really an incentive to farm a soulbound token. And there's also the ZK badges and stuff, which I think are really cool because I'm starting to participate through multiple addresses, as I'm sure most people should be. And it kind of makes your collection difficult when your activity is spread across a bunch of places, especially without linking all those wallets. And you don't really want to do that necessarily because it paints quite a map. So, yeah. The link to this, I guess, is in my bio. Or you can just go to chat.discordwizard.xyz. And that is basically just a fancy invite bot that will bring you here. So there's lots of servers that use this system. It's called Firewall. It was created by a friend of mine and myself during the ENS token drop. Maybe you can see it here. This guy, Firewall. So this is a bot we've been building that basically acts as an
So
invite
maybe you
system.
have a little bit of time to tell us how you got started doing this, like your little journey story.
Uh, sure. It's pretty random. Like, not really like. There's no like big like aha moment. I just kind of, I guess one day, like years and years ago, I got tipped on Reddit by some guy on a comment, and I was like, "What is this thing?" Um, and that kind of led me to spiral into like this Discord server for the first time, and I landed in a Discord server, having no idea what was happening there. And there was all of these people, and they were talking, and there was a tip bot built in, and there was money being flown around all over the place. And I just thought it was the craziest thing ever, and so I hung out. And that place was called. Well, actually, I'll just leave that out for the recording stuff. We'll let people discover that on their own little Narnia. Um, yeah, I got like I saw this like Narnia of a place, and I started hanging out, and people were really friendly, and I had no idea what I was doing, and I just started like talking in the chat, and then I mean, fast forward like what a I don't know, a couple of months, a year maybe. I was like hanging out in their events, trying to participate in events. Um, I was listening to like music events where people were just kind of like queuing a bot for hours in time during the theme, like Christmas or Halloween or something. And yeah, so after these events, I started kind of like wanting to do them myself. So I started helping other people do the events. Acting as a judge for an emoji contest or helping set up the Google Sheet for some kind of thing. Um, and then shortly after that, we'll just shut this off, I guess, for now. Shortly after helping with the events and stuff, I started like running my own events, and people would like sponsor them. So instead of me having funds to supply, I would basically reach out to these people with an idea, saying, "Hey, I want to host like a Halloween themed emoji contest. I want to give this amount to first, second, third place. So I want to take a split and give it to all the participants, et cetera, et cetera. I have these people as judges. Here's my plan. Here's my announcement. Here's my banner image." And they'd say, "Okay, cool, go for it. Like, we'll sponsor it." They'd supply the funding for the prizes. And I would go and I would do that. While doing this, I got really good at like setting up channels and bots and roles and all these things to accommodate my events. Basically, it was just like to play games, um, and to use bots in like really weird ways with custom commands. And that just kind of taught me how to use everything. And then I started using it to help out in places beyond the events, I guess, like helping with organizing moderators and stuff like that. And now it's just kind of spiraled into a thing where I'm just this guy who runs around kind of like teaching people how to use Discord and helping out where I can. Anytime anyone has questions or is building something, I just jump in, lend a hand, share what I know. I love to give feedback when they're building stuff because typically speaking, it's stuff I'm going to use or it's a community I'm participating in. And so I want the experience to be better for myself and for everyone. So I don't mind like sharing what I know and spending some time to get things right. And in a lot of cases, that's led me to have like really good opportunities. It's incredible what kind of opportunities present themselves to you when you're just kind of being friendly and sharing. So I guess that's kind of like the big takeaways. I was just being friendly, sharing, helping where I could consistently for a really long time. And if you help enough people get what they want, you'll eventually get what you want. It might take a long time, but it did work.
Do you have like a favorite like aspect of doing all these Discord servers and communities support?
It's super fun to like build something someone's going to use. I feel like anyone who builds something can relate to that. Building something that someone's going to use is a really nice feeling, and I've enjoyed doing that all over the place. Um, this just happens to be a place where you can really see an immediate impact from those changes. Like if I create a beautiful spreadsheet that helps a ton of people out by like copying and pasting it and whatever, like that's awesome. And I do those things too. And I have tons of templates for spreadsheets and for Twitter lists and for like anything that I do, I try to record it in a way where someone else could take that information and then also leverage it. But that's not quite the same thing as like the raw feedback that is Discord. Like if you know what I mean, like it's like an immediate dopamine hit to change a channel and then have someone start using it and like for its purpose. It just feels good, you know. It's obviously not a great feeling when people don't use things properly, but I'm sure any kind of like builder developer type person would understand that when you build something and you see someone like actually use it, it's just a really nice feeling. And I'm not a fancy builder developer type person. So I'm like I started by like making memes and shit posting in a general chat. I did not start by developing and contributing and writing in a DAO and doing the fancy like actual formal stuff that we talk about in spaces like this. Like I started by just writing and sharing what was essentially complete nonsense for a very long time. I didn't contribute anything meaningful for a very long time. But it turns out that some of the most important contributions I made were the ones that were not the contributions. They were the shit posts and the memes and the stuff that ended up contributing to like the culture of it all ended up being something that like was really important. And I have to also remember that like when I get really busy and I start like taking it more seriously, that we kind of remove that culture and stuff that I'm talking about.
Yeah, we could go down the engagement tangent because like how the server is set up and how like what you encourage people to interact like really affects the engagement. So maybe you can kind of, I mean, the shit posting is probably the funnest part. So you want to talk about that if you have time.
Yeah, and well, like I've been using forums for this a lot, and I kind of hinted at it in the example by showing that exploration station forum where there was like cats and dogs and memes and shit posts and SEC lawsuits and a whole bunch of stuff, and then it was sorted by tags. And so this is a way that I try to get people to share more with each other. Also, just because algorithms can be really problematic, and like I mean, I try to get a wider exposure. There's a bunch of stuff that I never even hear about, and it's big stuff that like millions of people participate in, and I don't see anything about it ever. And even with this kind of sharing, I still don't see it. So that's pretty strange. And I'm hoping to have my views broadened in this way. Um, there's lots of different ways to contribute, and a shit post doesn't mean something silly or something like, or I mean, it can, but like, there's also sharing. There's also just, I mean, well, what is GM now? Like, if not a shit post, right? Like, even if I say it in call, it's basically just like a verbal shit post. Like, okay, but it adds to the culture. People like it. It is what it is. Like, play along, participate if you like it. If it's not your thing, don't. But that's just like every community is different. And that's another important point to the whole thing is, yeah, how you set up your community, how you set up your culture, how you even the way you name your channels and the what you choose your emojis to be like that has a huge influence on not only like yourself but the way other people behave and like in turn the way the community behaves as a whole. Like if your emojis are a bunch of lewd and inappropriate stuff, well you can bet that that's going to be the kind of behavior that's going to happen because you're pushing it. And the people who are like looking for that are going to be encouraged, and the people who are not are well, they have plenty of other places to go. Like there's no shortage of other Discord servers fighting for those people's attention. So what really brings them there? And part of it needs to be that like super culture thing that, and you need to have control over it. And like being a CM is really fun. Being a Discord wizard is really fun in that sense. In that like you have to pick up on all this stuff, and it's like building some weird, super elaborate puzzle. Like at times you're setting up servers, like this is a bad example because I still have to clean it up a bit, but like at times you're setting up servers with tons and tons of roles. How do you do that? It's like becomes a mosaic of permissions and layering and weird stuff at times. And assuming you've done it improperly, it can become an absolute nightmare. So I guess, yeah, like to shorten the rant, um, it's really fun to build random stuff and it's really fun to watch people use it, but you have to be careful on how they use it because if they use it in ways that don't match your values or the values of whatever the thing is that you're trying to build, well, that could be problematic. And then you've built something that's potentially dangerous to your overall mission.
Does that require some like EQ, emotional?
I have no idea.
Do you think that you like have, I mean, maybe I'm getting too like woo woo now, but I feel like it's because you can kind of like sense like the way things are going. Like that feels like a big like people skill, like almost like a sensitivity.
Well, I mean, it is in a way, but it's not. Like, I mean, I would like to assume that if any, like, you don't pick it up, people tell you. Like, they're actively telling you. It's your, like, and it's your job as a CM to absorb that information. Or, I mean, or as, like, I guess this is another good example that it's really, really difficult to set up a server for a community that you do not participate in. And I do not recommend that people do that. And I do not recommend that people bring in random people like me to set up their server while it's like on the go, not without a very, very detailed outlook on what you want, because it can be very difficult to set up something that matches both the culture and the like when you start breaking the way people are habitually communicating, like they might just not recover from that habit break. Even if they really like the thing that they're doing, they might just not. It might be enough. I'll give you a random example. I play a Web3 card game on my iPad. Recently, I've been unable to log in on the iPad app. I can still log in on the desktop app. It's the exact same game. I've I don't touch it anymore. Totally same game, love the game, absolutely nothing against the game. It just turns out that I was apparently only converted as an iPad user. And when it came down to migrating me to a different platform, but for the exact same thing, I didn't make the move. And this was something that I had played like almost daily for probably like 2 years. And then one day I just cold turkey stopped because they forced me to switch to a different device. And so that's something to think about, right? It's like you might have the most actively engaged, wonderful contributors in your Discord server, and then boom, you shift them to Telegram and they're gone. Or you nuke all of the channels that they were participating in and try to have them contribute to new ones, and they might just not. It's a strange battle to have to be prepared for. So you have to be really delicate. It's significantly more dangerous to remove things than it is to create new ones because you just never know what's going to happen in that sense. Like people might just not make the shift unless it's obviously going unused. But deleting stuff and deleting chat history and like in some cases like history of the culture of your community is a bad move. But then also creating this huge archive is also like a bad move too, right? So there's this middle ground. So what I try to do is introduce like the least amount of channels possible. So common, like a common thing that I see is tons and tons of channels. Now you guys are pretty good. You don't have that many at all. Some places will have like 40, 50 things and like they'll have separate channels for dogs and cats and memes and food and sharing and ranting and support and all that stuff. And they can definitely combine a bunch of that stuff either down into a forum or they can, I don't know, make them toggleable using the onboarding settings or something. So I kind of went on a tangent again, but I think that helps to explain it.
Yeah, this is a lot of really useful stuff. Thank you. I appreciate you spending what, an hour here? Thank you. Oops.
Yeah, all good. I hope it was something that everyone gained some information from. Um, and I'm always around. Ping me anytime.
We'll look out for you in all the channels where all the Discord servers we go to.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I find the most fun is setting up a new server because I think right towards the tail end, I mentioned like don't bring in someone like me to set up your already existing server with a ton of culture. But if you want somebody who's just gonna like give you, a really clean initial start, cool. And if I want to pay, like if I'm paying attention and I'm contributing to your community, like we can build it as we go. That's the best way to do it, right? Is you build it slowly as you go when there's demand for things. And it's a lot of fun. Like it's really nice to have a community reach out and be like, "Hey, we have this cool idea and we want to do it." And I'm like, "Okay, sure, I know how to do that using this bot and these perms and this role and these channels. Let's go." And so I'll just set it up for them. And so if you ever have random ideas for things that you'd like to try, throw them my way and we'll just see if we can set them up.
Well, that sounds fun.
It is. That's why I
That's
do
like
it.
that's like raid guild, right? It's like someone has a crazy idea and then another person's like, okay, let's build it. It's super fun.
It's a great way to go. I mean, my whole goal was freedom, and I've achieved that, I guess, by getting to sit and hang out and talk to people and just build cool ideas and roam around, whatever we call this.
Yeah. Anybody else wanna say hi? Tay? All good?
Oh, all good. I appreciate you guys for hanging out, and you know where to find me.
Yeah, thank you
Cheers,
very
then, folks.
much. This was a good time. I'm gonna put it up on yeah, Metamedia. Hopefully soon. I need permission still. Or credentials.
I'm rooting for you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
jump. Thanks, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. Ping me anytime.
Thank you. Take care. Bye, everybody.